to Healthy Births, Happy Babies, where we share tips, tools, and stories grounded in natural childbirth and parenting principles, so that instead of feeling overwhelmed and confused during this exciting time in your life, you feel safe, supported, and empowered in your childbirth and parenting journey. And now, here's your host, Dr. Jay Warren.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Healthy Births, Happy Babies. I'm Dr. Jay Warren. I'm the Family Wellness Chiropractor and the Wellness Care Coordinator here at the CAP Wellness Center. And today we have Adriana Lozada with us. She is a podcaster herself. She has an amazing podcast named the Birthful Podcast. You should definitely check that out here in iTunes. I recommend it to our listeners and my patients all the time. She has a very similar format to Healthy Births, Happy Babies here, where she has experts on talking about pregnancy and birth and postpartum issues. And through the podcasting community, we got to know each other. And through a couple of conversations, I was excited that she agreed to come on here today. And she's going to be talking about her program that she's created. It's called the Birth Partners Ultimate Labor Support Toolkit. It's for dads. And I'm really excited she's going to be able to share information about it. But before I bring her on, let me, as always, take a moment for a word from our sponsor, the CAP Wellness Center. Hi, it's Dr. Jay, and one of the things I love about working at the CAP Wellness Center is being able to play a role in bringing a baby into the world that much more safely, much more naturally, and much more healthy. You know, it's something that is an amazing gift to give a child, to have them start off their life healthy without the stress and the trauma that can all too often be a part of the birth experience. So I consider it an honor to work with pregnant women to help them with that time during their pregnancy. And it is a privilege to be able to work with infants and help correct any distortions that might have happened through the birth process and allow them to start off their life healthy in alignment and in balance so that a health challenge doesn't hold them back from being all that they can be in this world. All right, now let me introduce to you Adriana Lozada. Adriana Lozada's background is multi-layered and multicultural. A former print and online editor from Venezuela, the birth of her daughter sparked her passion for being a birth advocate, leading her to open Birthful, a company that helps new and expectant parents take on whatever maternity sends their way. She's a certified Advanced Birth Doula, a postpartum educator, a healthy sleep consultant, and an eco-maternity consultant. Adriana is also the host of the Birthful Podcast, where she talks to amazing, knowledgeable, and passionate birth professionals every week to help new and expectant parents inform their intuition so they can have a more rewarding pregnancy, birth, and postpartum experience. Adriana is the author of the best-selling pregnancy guide in Spanish, Soy un pura madre. More recently, she created the Birth Partners Ultimate Labor Support Toolkit to help expectant dads provide truly helpful support during the birth process while finding their confidence to go from clueless to I've got this. Adriana lives in Rochester, New York with her husband and 11-year-old daughter. And now let's switch over to my conversation with Adriana. Adriana, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited.
I'm excited too, because I have to say, I've been following your podcast for quite a long time. As a fellow podcaster, I always look for other great ones as well. And Birthful, your podcast, has been personally really helpful to me. So I want to thank you for that. And I've also referred a lot of my patients and also listeners that are looking for even more to your podcast as well. So I appreciate all the work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. And I love what you're doing. And that we have connected so that we can even share guests and talk about them. Oh, you should talk to this person. I like that.
Right. The podcasting community, I think, is just a great community. And then you overlay that with people that are interested in birth and pregnancy and postpartum. And it's a fantastic, supportive community. And I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm really happy to be talking with you today and talking about your labor essentials guide. I think today's conversation, we're going to be talking mainly for the birth partner, for the dads that are out there. And before we jump into your program and the guides that you've set up, tell us a little more about your background. I read your bio, obviously, to introduce you onto the show, but tell us how you got interested in working in birth and labor in the first place.
Mm-hmm. So I came to this birth world much like a lot of professionals do, and it's through my own birth experience, through the birth of my daughter, who's now 11. And because my background is in communications, the minute I learned I was pregnant, I jumped in and just read all the books and tried to find, I knew nothing. And so I tried to absorb it all. And as I was doing that, the more I read, the more kind of appalled I became of how little support was given to the birthing moms and to the birthing couple, and how it was just this, the system wasn't supporting you very well to have a good, happy, joyous birth. So I first became a birth doula that way, just to try to make a difference one couple at a time.
Mm-hmm. And then with your work, you've created many different programs, but today we're going to be talking about your Ultimate Labor Support Toolkit. And this is really geared towards the birth partner and what you've learned as a doula. Is that right?
It is. So after I've been doulaing, it's going to be 10 years in January.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm excited for that's like a decade now. It seems so solid.
Right. Has it been that long? Wow, it sounds long.
Yeah, right. It sounds, when you say 10 years, it sounds long, and it doesn't feel like it was that long ago. But I've switched. Of course, I've learned so much through all the births that I've attended in those 10 years, and most doulas do a couple of prenatals before the birth, just to get to know each other and give information and see how we can best support the birth that the couple wants to have. And I find that most of the time, because it's short, 2 prenatals are kind of short in however months from the moment they hire me to when the birth happens. So I wanted to give something additional to the dads, because I find myself speaking mostly to the moms, because they're the ones that have most questions when we meet face to face. So that was sort of the impetus to create this labor support toolkit, was to, even for the partners that I help as a doula, to have them come in with more confidence and more calm. And just because it is a big unknown, this whole birth thing, for most dads. So that was kind of what made me jump into it and create it.
Well, going through your product, your guide, it is really helpful. And I can speak as a dad, and working with a lot of parents and speaking with the dads is, we want to be really helpful during the pregnancy, but also especially during the birth. Like, things have changed now that dads are involved and dads are there, but we really sometimes don't know what to do. And that can be perceived by the partner, by the mama that is, of like, well, maybe he's not interested, or, he seems to be kind of pulling back, but it really might come from like, well, I don't know what to do and I want to do something wrong. So I'm just going to kind of hover in the back and let the doctor or the midwife or the doula take over. But this guide really helps kind of lay the land of, what's going to be happening. And these are some really helpful things to do. So I think going through some of, obviously we don't have time to go through the whole guide, but let's go through some of the positions of, or the elements of your toolkit. And the one that I absolutely love is your B.R.A.I.N acronym. It's like how to make informed decision making, and B.R.A.I.N stands for something. So do you mind going through that to help our listeners?
Yeah, I can absolutely do that. And I want to, going back to what you were saying, yes, dads feel like, I don't know what's going on. And birth can be the only process where throwing up, shaking, having, tons of fluids come out of you, and blood and goo are all good things. And it can be a little unsettling for the birth partner. Like when, mom's shaking and the nurse is saying, that's great, she threw up, that's fantastic. So,
Right.
right. So a lot of what I tried to do in the guide was to normalize things. And I love that you picked out the brain for informed decision making, because one of the biggest things that dads need to do, partners need to do in birth, is advocate for the laboring mom.
Yes.
The best thing she can do is not think. She's in labor. She's in labor land. Like, she needs oxytocin to flow and to go to altered brain states and just to really let go into the birth. She goes to la la land, labor land. So dads can use the brain to help advocate. The first thing they need to know is, unless it's a medical emergency, and if it's a medical emergency, they're going to know. The room's going to fill up with people moving really quickly and decisively. Things are like, things will be happening. Unless that's going on in birth, there is always time. There's always time to ask questions. There's always time to ask more questions to make sure you get, all the information you need to make the choices that are right for you, and the mama make the choices that are right for her. So BRAIN is a tool that helps with this. And so the acronym is, the B is for benefits. So you ask, like, when something is presented, an intervention is suggested, what are the benefits of that intervention for labor, benefits for the baby, and benefits for mom? Then the R is for risks. What are the risks for labor, for the baby, and for mom? And interesting to note is, a benefit for one might be a risk for another.
Yeah, good point.
So, for example, an epidural can be really great at, if things are very intense, at taking away that intensity, but it might cause blood pressure to drop, which might make baby's heartbeat also drop. So, ask questions about those benefits and risk and how they play off each other. Then the third one is alternatives. Can we try something else instead? Is there something else we can do? So B.R.A.I. is intuition or indications, depending on who you ask, because this BRAIN acronym is something that's used in childbirth classes all over the world. It's very much used. So the intuition is, what does mom's gut say? Keep in mind, the birth is happening inside her body, and sometimes she knows something is off before anyone else does. Or they can tell you that things are moving much faster than is apparent to others around her. If mom says, baby is coming, it doesn't matter that labor just started. Baby is coming. She is feeling this immensely in her body. So what does her intuition say? And what does the birth partners, the dad's intuition, say as well? They know her better than anybody else in the room. So that is extremely a valid point of view. They know how she reacts to different situations more than the nurses or the doctors or the midwives would. So they can read her better. So for dads to trust their guts and with intuition, some people say that the I is, instead of for intuition, stands for indications. So is there anything in your particular situation that indicates that you need this, as opposed to protocol, as opposed to this is just how we do this? Okay. And a really great question that I like to add there, and this is something that I find works during birth and in life, is to ask the open-ended question, is there any reason why? Is there any reason why I can't get in the tub? Is there any reason why she needs to stay by the bed? Is there any reason why she can't eat? Is there any reason why we have to do this now? That is there any reason why takes the person, you can see the wheels turning in their head, and they're thinking, actually, is there any reason why, Jay can't be doing this right now, as opposed to, can I get in the tub? No. Just because that's what we do. No, you can't. So that can help with discerning the indications. And then the last letter is the N for doing nothing, or what happens next. So what happens if you do nothing? What happens if you go forward with the intervention? What happens next? And if that doesn't work, what happens next? So that BRAIN is benefits, risks, alternatives, intuition or indication, and nothing next. And it can be a nice framework to help you take a step back and take a breather and say, okay, no matter if they're asking for an IV or they're asking that think a cesarean is required, like all the extremes, right?
Right.
You can still take a step back and focus on this acronym to help get the answers you need in a time that can be, a little stressful for dads. There's a lot of pressure.
And one of the things I love about in your kit is you have a little printout that you can put those on little cards that even for dads like stick in their pocket to, even if they get flustered in the moment, to be able to kind of review this. So I think you've definitely kind of understand how dads can work and have it available for them, because especially what you said is, we want moms to be in birthland and to just be in their bodies and feeling it and allowing that to process and allow those hormones to flow. And the dad really can be the advocate and kind of holding space to hold to the birth plan that they've created beforehand. And in that moment, because you're seeing your loved one potentially in a lot of discomfort or doing things they've never seen their partner do before, you can get caught up in that moment as well, and not knowing that, what's going on doesn't need to be fixed. It just needs to be supported to allow it to process naturally.
That's right. And that was also why I was trying to create this toolkit, is because birth, there's nothing wrong. It's a lot of work, but nothing needs to be fixed. So in that sense, it's to give dads, this toolkit gives them clear guidance of what to do. Yeah. To help with the labor flow and to help support moms be more comfortable without having to take it completely away, and to understand the process that, those guttural sounds are great, and she can roar that baby out, and he can, or the partner can help her make sure those sounds are still low and not like high pitch and tight and like create tension, but nice and deep in the chest vibrations. So it is about making dads go from clueless to I've got this. And so that they can find their confidence to be in that room and be there for whatever she needs. Yeah.
Right. And it's something that, especially with many parents birthing in hospitals, that if you haven't gone through this in a birth class or with your doula or with your practitioner, that just automatically, if you're in a hospital, part of your unconscious, if not your conscious mind, is saying, okay, something's wrong because only sick people or emergencies happen here. But a birth is a completely natural event, but you're in a hospital setting, you have doctors, you have nurses coming around, there's lights and bells and whistles and IVs and all this kind of stuff. So being able to go through, kind of what the normal process of birth is allows really the couple, but definitely the dads, to set the space of, okay, this is completely natural, this is normal, let's let this process. And part of allowing that to happen is one of the things you go through in your toolkit is setting the stage about what dads can do to, really help the birthing woman. Can you go through a couple of those things?
Yeah. So setting the stage is huge because the things that make labor flow is really the release of oxytocin within the mom's body. So that's the main focus. And then on a physical level, movement can really help because it allows baby to get in the best position and to wriggle, her way out and down and mom's pelvis to open. So setting the stage allows the oxytocin flow because oxytocin only flows when you feel calm, secure, safe, cozy. So I walk through setting the stage to try to see how you can make the environment, the room, be somewhere that she feels safe and cozy. So dimming the lights is huge. Making sure the temperature in the room is comfortable. Make it like warm and toasty. Know that she doesn't have to wear the hospital gown if she doesn't want to. And if she feels more comfortable wearing her own clothes that smell like her and smell like home, then do that, or bring a blanket. Like lots of suggestions in terms of how to make that environment. Take it over and bring it back to you. Make it something that is not so foreign and hospital-like and, where you don't feel at home or uncomfortable, but bring it around to where she can feel really comfortable. That goes so, it makes such a difference. I can't tell you how many times I've gone into the labor room and dimmed the lights and get an immediate response from the mama saying, that's so much better. And all you did was turn the lights down.
Mm-hmm. Such a simple thing.
Yeah. So I walk them through things like this. And so it can be very practical where I'm not showing them, at this dilation, this happens. Like, I don't care about any of those milestones because the body doesn't care about those. I care about what can the dad do to make it so that labor flows and mom feels well supported, and how can he, and it can be really practical stuff like getting a bin with ice and putting washcloths in it, because those icy washcloths are going to be really helpful in terms of comfort. So have that already set up, to something like the B.R.A.I.N acronym with the little wallet card that he can print out and put in the wallet, so that he has those cheat sheets and lists to make it really easy to access this information and not have to remember it all during the time of the birth.
Right. And I mean, you even have, like a list of things to put into the birth bags. And I know, checklists were really important for me. And the birth bag I laugh about because that was something before the birth, like I could actually do, like, all right, let me do something, have something on my list today to create the birth bag. I mean, my son was born at home, so we didn't really need that, but we needed it just in case if there was a transfer. But as dads, we want to be helpful. We want to know what to do. We want to know to do the right things so that it helps things along. And look, what you've laid out is just so comprehensive. And I think it's a really important thing for especially, parents that are listening to podcasts like this and, taking birth classes and things like that. They're involved. They want to do as much as they can to let the labor be as normal as possible, for mama to be as comfortable as possible, to birth this baby into the world as safely as possible. And I really think that your toolkit can be really, really helpful for parents. So again, I want to thank you for that, and tell them more about how they can find out more about it. Where can they learn about it?
Yeah, so if they go to birthful.com/toolkit, there's all the information there. And I wanted to point out, because you mentioned listening to podcasts, because we are podcasters, and I know that dads want to soak up the information really quickly and not read through tons of books. There's the PDF and the toolkit that has the 9 sections, but then I also did 9 audio files that are under 10 minutes each, corresponding to each section in the PDF. So really under an hour and a half, they can go through all this information. And then there's also there's a comfort measures cheat sheet that can print and have at the birth. There's a labor's position cheat sheet and the B.R.A.I.N for informed decision making, and plus the 2 checklists, the things to put in your birth bag and the things for your awesome nurse. So all of that, they can find information at birthful.com/toolkit.
Okay. And I'll make sure I have that link in the show notes and on our page as well, so they'll have it. But tell us more.
Yeah, so I wanted to say that especially for your listeners, for the Healthy Birth, Happy Baby listeners, I wanted to extend to them, if they wanted to check out part of the toolkit, I wanted to give them for free the comfort measures, the birth positions cheat sheet. And what's different about the labor positions cheat sheet that I created, it's this 2-sided thing that they can print out. It classifies positions by what they're good for. Because birth can flow, but there's certain situations where if baby's posterior, then you might want, forward-leaning positions. So what would that be? So it marks this position is good for, say, slowing things down or making things faster or for pushing. It has a nice, clear, easy-to-see structure for that. So to get that, they would go to birthful.com HBHB.
Okay,
so
for healthy birth, healthy babies.
That's right, birthful.com/HBHB, and they can get that there for free. And if they feel like would they get enough information going from birthful.com/toolkit and want to purchase it, then for your listeners, I want to extend a discount code. So on checkout, if they put out healthy, happy, one word all together, healthy, happy, then they can get $10 off.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for that. That's a really generous offer. I appreciate you doing that for our listeners.
Oh, yeah. No, I appreciate that they listen. So I wanted to give them an extra something. Yeah.
Good. Well, I'll have all of those links there for you listeners, so you can access that. Again, even without the discount code, I really encourage you dads to pick up this toolkit. It'll make the whole birth experience for your partner and for your baby that much better. I really, really feel strongly about that. But in our closing minutes right now, I usually like to end our interviews with 2 different questions, and the first one is for the listener themselves. Like, what's the main point or main words of advice, if it's something different than what we've talked about today, just that you'd like the listener to take home today? Yeah.
So know, birth partner, that you're listening, know that you are never in the way during the birth. You are this mama's rock. You stay right there, right next, unless she tells you I need space. You be right there. You're not in a nurse's way. You're not in a doctor's way. You are what she needs. So don't ever think that you're in the way.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm sure that's come from a lot of experience of you working as a doula. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so the last question is for the babies. I love this question. And it's, for a baby that's listening either in utero through as mom or dad's listening to this podcast, or, what is a word of advice or some little message you'd like to whisper in their little ear?
Yeah, I would like to tell them that they should know that their parents really prepared for them to come. They are doing everything they can to make sure that their entrance into the world is a good one for all of them.
Yeah, they really are. They're listening to this. They're checking out everything they can. Well, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate your time, Adriana. I appreciate your work. I appreciate your podcast. And thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you, Jay. It was really a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us today. For more information about this episode and other natural childbirth and parenting topics, please visit us at capwellnesscenter.com or message us on our Facebook page with any questions you might have. We here at the Cap Wellness Center look forward to helping you and your family be as happy and healthy as you can be.